I still remember the exact moment I heard those words. I finally replaced him. It was my daughter's voice, full of laughter, echoing through my ex-wife's backyard as she talked to her friends. She was talking about me. Her father. The man who raised her, loved her, protected her through every storm. And she said it like I was an old piece of furniture. Something you throw away when you find a shinier replacement. I stood there behind the fence, frozen, listening as she told her friends that her stepdad was so much better than me. My chest felt like it was being crushed, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. Tell me, would I be wrong for what I did after hearing my own daughter erase me like I never existed? Let me start from the beginning, because this story didn't begin that day. It began years ago when my marriage fell apart. My name's Ryan, I'm 45, and I was married to my ex-wife Melissa for 15 years. We weren't perfect, but we built a life together. We had one daughter, Emily. She was my entire world. From the moment she was born, I promised I'd give her everything I never had. I was the kind of dad who showed up for everything. Recitals, soccer games, science fairs. Even when Melissa started drifting away emotionally, I stayed for Emily. I thought love could fix what was broken. But I was wrong. Melissa met a man named Derek at her workplace. He was the kind of guy who had charm oozing out of him. Smooth talker, perfect smile, the type that makes people trust him too easily. I didn't see it at first, but slowly, I started noticing changes. Melissa became distant, secretive. She started dressing up for girls' nights that didn't seem to have any other girls involved. The night she told me she wanted a divorce, she didn't even look sad. She said, "We've grown apart, Ryan. I need something more." Something more. That's what she called it. I was devastated, but my biggest concern was Emily. She was 12 at the time, old enough to understand that her world was falling apart, but too young to handle it. I fought to keep her life as stable as possible. I told Melissa we needed to co-parent peacefully, that Emily shouldn't have to choose sides. But Melissa didn't make that easy. She started dating Derek publicly only 3 months after the divorce was finalized. And from the way Emily talked about him, I knew he was already being introduced into her life. I tried to stay calm. I reminded myself that Derek was just another adult in Emily's world. I told myself as long as she knew I was her dad, everything would be okay. But then small things started happening that chipped away at me. Emily started calling me Dad Ryan, and Derek just Dad. When I gently asked her about it, she shrugged and said, "Mom says it's just easier this way." I felt like I was being replaced piece by piece. Every other weekend when I picked her up, she seemed more distant. Her stories were about Derek, how he helped her with homework, took her to amusement parks, bought her a new phone. Meanwhile, I was struggling to make ends meet after paying child support and mortgage on the old house. I couldn't compete with flashy gifts, but I tried to give her time, love, and consistency. The kind of things that money can't buy. But in her teenage mind, Derek was exciting, new fun. I was the boring dad who made her do chores and talk about responsibility. I could feel her slipping away from me, and every time I tried to reach out, Melissa found a way to push me back. She told me not to guilt-trip Emily, that I should let her be happy. I wanted to scream that I was her father, not some distant uncle. But I swallowed it, trying to keep the peace for Emily's sake. Years went by like that. Emily grew up, and the distance between us grew wider. She stopped returning my texts as quickly, skipped a few of our weekends together, and started calling only on holidays. I tried to tell myself it was normal teenage behavior. But deep down, I knew something was breaking. Then came her 18th birthday. I had been saving for years to buy her a car. Not a fancy one, just a safe, reliable used car, something she could use for college. I wrapped the keys in a small box and went to her mom's house for the party. I wanted to surprise her. When I walked in, I saw a crowd of people I didn't know, mostly Derek's friends and family. They looked at me like I didn't belong there. Melissa gave me a half-hearted smile and said, "Oh Ryan, you made it." Derek was the one grilling burgers, hosting, laughing loudly. Everyone looked at him like he was the man of the house. When Emily saw me, she gave me a polite hug, but it felt forced. She said, "Dad, this is Derek. You know him, right?" I wanted to say, Of course I do, he's the man who stole everything from me, but I bit my tongue and just smiled. I waited for the right moment to give her my gift. But before I could, Derek made an announcement. He handed Emily a set of keys. "It's your new car, sweetheart," he said. Everyone clapped, cheered. I stood there frozen, the box in my hand suddenly feeling like a joke. I slipped out before the cake was cut. I drove home in silence and sat in the car for an hour before going inside. That night, I put the car keys I bought for her in a drawer and just cried. Not because of the car, but because I realized she didn't need me anymore. Or maybe she didn't want me anymore. For months after that, I kept my distance. I told myself she needed space, that one day she'd realize what she lost. But then, last month, I went to drop off some things at Melissa's house while they were having a small get-together. I wasn't supposed to stay, just leave the boxes. But when I walked around the side gate to leave them by the patio, I heard her voice. Emily. Laughing with her friends. One of them asked, "Do you still see your dad much?" And she said, "Not really. I finally replaced him with my stepdad. He's way better anyway." That one word, replaced, hit me harder than anything Melissa ever said or did. It was like all those years of love, sleepless nights, and sacrifice evaporated in a single sentence. I didn't confront her that night. I just walked away quietly. But something inside me changed. I wasn't going to let her rewrite history and erase me from her life like I was nothing. So that's the situation I was in. I had to make a choice. Do I walk away forever and let her think I was gone for good, or do I remind her who I really am? Not with anger but with truth? Before I tell you what I did, I want you to pause for a second and tell me, if your own child said you'd been replaced, would you just let it go? Or would you make them see the truth? Alright. Here's what happened next. I decided to take a step back, not out of weakness, but strategy. Instead of reaching out directly, I started preparing something that would speak louder than any argument ever could. Emily was graduating from college soon, and they were throwing a huge celebration. I knew both Melissa and Derek would be there, front and center, taking credit for her success. I wanted to be there too, but not as an outsider. I wanted her to remember who was there for her when no one else was.